Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And hi, I am spiritual medium Kelly White, and we are here with John Williams. Hi, John.
Hi,
Hello,
John.
ladies.
How are
Hello,
you
happy
doing?
Monday. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Ju-
Well,
you know, just living through it. What
Yeah,
can we say?
yeah,
I
correct.
love the background you chose.
Oh, thank
yes.
you.
So wonderful for the show today.
A little dog in the corner with the hat. Too
I
cute.
know, cracks me up.
Oh my gosh.
So, Kelly,
hmm
why don't you give us some of your wisdom of CF, is what I call it, clusterfuck.
I know what it
Clusterfuck
stands for.
2020.
CF 2020.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to start with tonight. I'm going to start with this comet that's going around because somebody last week asked me about this comet. And it was either this show or our show. I don't remember. It was one of the shows we did. And did you know, Shirley, that there's a comet going around now? It was actually discovered in March, but only seen in July, this July. And it's called Neowise.
Really?
Neowise. Neowise. It's actually named after the what I call it? Oh my God, I just blanked out on it. Um, the thing that discovered it,
You mean the
uh,
scope or
the scope, the telescope.
telescope? See, I got half the word. Between the two of us, we'll get it,
Oh my
Kel.
God, it's both sides. See, I only use my
Exactly.
right brain. I have a real tough time with my left brain. It's the truth. But anyway, so this comet, it appears, the comets appears to break the harmony of the cosmos. When they appear,
Hmm.
and it almost looks so foreign because all of a sudden it just shows up. And unlike an eclipse, where an eclipse, you know it's going to come, it's predictable, you know it's going to come. But this is completely random. This all of a sudden comes randomly, right? But again, if you're on a spiritual path, then you know that there's no such thing as just random,
Random, right, right.
that everything in the universe has a special meaning to it. And so, really, this is called Neowise. What exactly is this comet telling us?
That's
Well, the,
interesting.
the term Neowise actually literally means new wisdom. So, to your point, Shirley, earlier on,
Hmm.
and this suggests that this is what the current worldwide crisis would need, which is wisdom. It just needs it.
That is so true.
And it's as if going back into our old life as if nothing had ever happened isn't a wise move for us, and that's not going to happen anyway. So, also, the color of this comet is really interesting. The tail of it is magenta, and the second tail of it is golden. So magenta and gold are actually the colors of the wise. It's in an aura. When you see those colors, you know it means harmony, it means balance, it means spiritual
Hmm.
development and higher moral qualities. And so, what does this comet come to teach us? Pretty interesting, because this is also visible in Cancer, which is where we find ourselves now. Now, traditionally, when you see a comet that's in a water sign, it's a possible indicator of rainstorms and tsunamis, which is really what I think is going to happen because
Oh,
everything is headed in that direction in the next few months. Um, but on a positive note, it's humanity is being asked to develop a new form of wisdom concerning cancer forces, like nurturing, like mother forces, something in a
oh, that's
positive realm.
so interesting.
Isn't
Now,
that?
how did they come up with the name? Do you know?
Yeah, from the telescope.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. You just said that, didn't you? It's the telescope that discovered it. Is that
Okay,
it?
am I getting punked?
Okay.
Because
But how not random or coincidental that that was the name of the telescope that
right.
that discovered it?
That's my point. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, very
And
interesting.
then and Dr. Steve Goldberg sent me something interesting. He was telling me about I think I'm going to say this right. Let me see. Shravan. Shravan
Hmm.
is the fifth month in the Hindu calendar, and it's considered to be the most auspicious month of the year, which is where we are now. And
Hmm.
it's about religious beliefs. It's the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer of this universe. So it's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
interesting times that we live
Yes.
in, right?
Yeah,
So
very much.
on top of that, we have tonight a new moon, the second new moon in Cancer. And we've got the sun in Cancer, and the second new moon is in Cancer. The first one was June 22nd at 0 degrees Cancer. And the second one is tonight at 28 degrees Cancer, and that's the ending. So the beginning and the ending. But it opposes Saturn. So in Saturn's in Capricorn retrograde. This is a very intense new moon. This is not like a normal new moon where new beginnings and this is not like that. This is a very intense one because you've got the sun and the moon in Cancer opposing Saturn in retrograde. It's restrictions, it's tests, it's hardships. So I'm going to tell everybody, please stay focused. Stay focused and watch your impulsiveness. Don't be impulsive. And
Hmm.
it's going to feel like we have no control, which is really every day with my clients. That's all I hear. When is this going to end? Oh God, I feel. And do you know, last week, or I should say Saturday, I had people that were rocking. I had people that were sobbing. I don't know about your practice, Shirley, but this is
Yeah.
day to day. This is do
Yeah.
you have the same situation with your
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
It's
Everybody is just so, and the more days that go by
right.
without any kind of end in sight, the more anxious and, people are getting.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to feel like we have no control, for one
Mm.
thing. And it's going to be up to us to realize that it's up to us to put our lives back in some sort of order. Okay. And it's going to be facing vulnerability. So, this is one of the things that we're going to have to face, but
Yeah.
we're going to turn that vulnerability into strength.
Hmm.
And as my daughter said to me, "Oh, you mean, Mom, it's about adulting up?" It's like, yeah, everybody has to adult up because Saturn
Yeah.
is the adult. In Cancer,
Mm.
you kind of want to cling to the mom and do this, and Saturn's like, "Up, no, get up.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
Put your
okay. Put
Like
your
your mother
big."
used to say, put your
Oh my
big
God.
girl pants on, or
Oh
your
God.
big boy pants on.
Boy,
I
my mom
mean,
was a tough gal.
I think there's never been a more perfect time for that,
Yeah.
and it is really important. There is no such thing as control anyways. We feel in
I know.
control when we can kind of predict the future, and for the most part we can, and that's
Hmm.
how the species survived. And the brain is a, you know, prediction organ, so it wants to predict the future, and it predicts it
Yeah.
based on the past and stuff. And this is all new. And so part of
Yeah.
it is understanding that we do natural innate impulses resiliency,
Yeah.
and we can, we have to stay focused on the bigger picture, that one day it will end. Maybe it's another
Yes.
year, maybe it's another two
Yes.
years, but it will end.
Oh, absolutely, it
And
will
we
end.
need to
Hmm.
stay focused on that, and then
Hmm.
do what we can to. I've told people that in the morning, get up,
Hmm.
walk around the block, and then come back to your home office. So it
Yeah.
feels like what it used to feel like when we used to get in our car,
Yeah.
drive to work, and we get our mindset that, you have to find a way to make it work as best as possible, which doesn't mean that you're not going to have emotions about it every so often, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what adults do, is they figure out a way to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, just because it's uncharted doesn't mean we
Yeah.
won't get through it. We're going to get
Right.
through. All
Right.
of us are going to get through this. We're
Yeah.
just going to keep going, but stay focused and
Yeah.
adult up. Um, from vulnerability to what? Strength, Ardelia. Vulnerability, turn it into strength. So I tell people this all the time: lean in. Don't go back like,
Yeah.
lean in. You
One
have
of
to.
my clients, one time, she said this, and I never forgot it. She had allowed herself to be vulnerable in front of this guy that she was dating. And she goes, and for the first time in my life, she goes, I realized the strength in vulnerability. And
Right?
it is so true,
I love that.
because you put yourself out there, and the strength that comes with vulnerability is a knowing that you'll get through whatever happens. Even if
Absolutely.
someone takes your most, the secret that you've told them and uses it against you, and does all
Right.
this stuff, they're getting through it, is that strength that comes with it. Otherwise, you're hiding and defending, and your whole life, and that's no fun either.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, right, everybody. Well, we've got the greatest
We're
guest
going to shift gears a little.
ever. We're gonna shift gears. I feel like I'm on the Today Show. We're gonna shift gears now. They'd say something
Right.
really
Or
horrible, and then they'd bring on some happy thing. I used
exactly.
to think, what the hell are these people doing? Like, how do you switch gears? But we're gonna do it right now because we have one of my favorite people of all time on. I met this guest of our next guest. I met her in Mexico with James before COVID in
Mhm.
2019, March of
Oh
2019.
wow.
And my life went to hell in a handbag, and I was with James, whose also life went to hell in a handbag at that exact time. And we were sitting here having tequila, just drowning our sorrows before he was doing this big event in Cancun. And all of a sudden, this woman walks up and she says, James, and James, and it's our guest, Tami Hendrix. And Tami and I became really good friends. I said, oh my God, she's like a sister to me. I just love this woman. Just love her. She's somebody that you could take her anywhere. She'll figure out everything. She just is such a blessing to the world and such an
Mm.
intuitive. So let me tell you all about her. Tami is an intuitive. She's an intuitive, period. And she's an intuitive animal communicator. Unbelievable, actually. And healer, committed to helping relationships transform on every level. Her childhood experiences helped her forge a deep, compassionate connection with all beings, allowing her to see the true essence of any soul or situation. This unique ability enables her to tune in and see the soul path of your animal and how that intertwines with your own. Since Tami maintains a
Oh,
private animal sanctuary, can you imagine that, Shirley? She has a whole
yeah.
sanctuary in North Carolina.
Wow.
Tami has firsthand experience with many different animals and situations. Some of the many areas Tami can assist with are working with animals and their people as they transition from this world, addressing situations regarding health, emotional needs, and behavioral concerns. And she provides guidance for animals and their people in times of trauma or stress, and uncovering the multiple life soul paths each animal has and how their paths play an intricate role in our lives. And please welcome Tami Hendrix. Hi, Tami.
Yay.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, it's good to see you all.
It's
Good to be
great to
Good
back.
to see you too. Yes. When was the
Yes.
last time you were on? It was a while ago, right? At least a year.
Yeah. I don't, let's see, it's July. I was thinking, was it in April? Was
Yeah.
it May?
Oh, so it was
Shirley.
still this year. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna not say a word the rest of the.
Okay. I think you should go
I
back to
can't
that
remember for
comment.
sure.
Let me go take a write on that comment. Um,
That's
well,
really
I don't know about
funny.
everybody else, but this year, because of COVID, has gone by
Mhm.
Yes.
so slow and then so fast at times where it feels like
Yeah.
it's been a year that we've been in it and it hasn't. But
Absolutely.
then you
Well,
turn around and we're almost in August too. So
oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And Tammy, on the note of COVID, I have a question. And this actually came from Dr. Steve Goldberg. And I thought we're just going to start off with this, if that's all right with you.
Sure. Yeah.
He said, could you include your findings on how pets are affected by our distress during this time of COVID?
oh.
Isn't that a good question?
Yeah,
And
it's a very good
what
question.
the pets have to teach us on this?
Well, I think collectively the animals are okay. I think individually during this time they've taken on the stresses that we're going through in our households, and I know in talking to my clients, a lot of that what their animals are saying and are revealing are mirroring relationship issues or things that are going on that people are bringing into the home, and the energy is kind of like covering them, and so they
Mm.
may act out and go bark somewhere and go distract. They're real big on distracting from the situation to kind of break up the energy. So
Oh,
they'll do certain behaviors to kind of startle you out of your like loop, and then they'll you'll go like, what are you barking at, what are you looking at? So I feel like they've taken on a whole lot during this time. Actually, they are definitely here to help us open our hearts more. Being in the household, they're enjoying being with their people, but at the same time, they're doing some deep healing work. And so they signed up for this just like we did during this time. So the stresses do definitely affect them. The way I have found that they're turning that is into behaviors that then draw attention to the issues going on in the house or in the relationships.
so they're illuminating kind of the
Yes.
dynamics between
Hmm.
the adults in the house, or the adults and the kids,
Absolutely.
the humans
Or
in
the
the house, I guess.
children.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's
absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
they definitely are. And I think as it has eased up some and people are out more with their animals than they were in the earlier part of the year, I think some of the energy has loosened up a little bit and everybody's not so tense so that the animals aren't taking on so much. But they definitely, there was no coincidence that we got locked down in our homes with our animals and we're all like piled like a big puppy pile on top of each other. And that allowed the animals to really work very deeply one-on-one with their people. So, I feel like they are under stress. And what I've been working with people is helping them understand that piece, that when you come home and you have tension and anger, then they're sitting right there with you and they're absorbing that. And it may worry them when when you fuss at them, they don't understand often because they're like, we're just doing our job. We're just trying to help. We're trying to lighten things up. So I think it can be a bit confusing for them during this time.
Yeah, I definitely think that is.
So I would
Wow.
imagine that it would help to talk to them just like we talk to babies. Like
Absolutely.
maybe, I'm stressed because of work, but it has nothing to do with you. And then,
Right.
that kind of thing that they would
Right.
understand at some level.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Yes, definitely. And they like to be included in what's going on. Otherwise, sometimes they think that there's something they're doing or what's wrong with me? Why am I causing them to act like this? So very much so where you just say, to the animal, I've had a really bad day or I've had a hard day and I'm sorry you were a part of that argument. We didn't mean for you to be that. It's not your fault. Because they will take that on and wonder, is there something I'm not doing or, because they want to help and they want to be included in that discussion. So they love it actually when you just bring them in on it and explain. It helps a whole lot.
Wow. Wendy says that their cat has been a blessing for her son to use as a calming tool.
Yeah, no, they're doing their job at a very high level, even more so than they have been able to before, because again, it's more intense time and it's more one-on-one. And so, their vibration is quite high and can help calm everything. And so I was talking to somebody that had numerous animals in the home, and first of all those animals came from different backgrounds and they were actually different species, but they were all a soul family, and each one had their part in the role they played in that family. And once it was like, it's kind of like Noah's Ark kind of thing. Once you saw the individual and collective kind of unity, it's really quite beautiful because the animals are in on it just like we are, and people don't often realize that.
And so, Tammy, you believe that the soul's contracted to be here during this time?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
too.
I do. No coincidence, and no coincidence. The animals that are with you, your specific ones, it's distinct.
Yes. Jesse says, do our pets have spirit guides like we do, like a guide or guides that stays with us during their whole physical life?
I believe they do. I feel strongly that they do. And I think that's probably an area that could stand some looking into further, because I have, yes, the bottom line answer is yes. And I think, like, looking at mine, they will then be spirit guides for each other when they pass.
Oh, I love that, Tammy. I love that.
Wow.
Wow. I had a client that asked me the other day, she asked me this for a week, so I was talking to James about that. She said, are animals intergalactic? And I asked James and he said, absolutely. Why not, honey? And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. It's up there with the spirit guide concept.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're no different. It just,
Yeah.
people see animals differently because they're in these fur bodies, but they're absolutely no different.
What's intergalactic? What do you mean?
Well, star seeds, not from around here, like you, Shirley. You're
right.
intergalactic.
I guess I just didn't relate to the animal piece, but
that's why I was saying that. Yeah.
I'm on a roll today.
You're on a roll, honey.
Renee is saying, do dogs and cats understand what we say or just energy?
Good question.
Yeah.
I have had so many animals. They totally, and anybody could debate this, but they understand. I've talked to many of my animals. I do every day, and um, I can't tell you the number of ones that have come to me and, I'm like, look, I've got things to do. You need to think about this snarling piece at me. If you're going to snarl, I'm not going to help you, but I'll be glad to help you. Otherwise, you think about it. I'll be back. So I come back and they've had a chance to think about it. And so this particular dog belly crawled her way to me, and then she ended up having puppies. But I gave her the choice. Wow. I didn't force myself on her, but I did tell her clearly, like I'm telling you, look, I've got a house full. I'm doing fine. You're the one that needs help. Happy to help, but you're not going to be snarling at me. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how it's going to go down. They do. I really believe, Renee, that they do. And I've had, I can't tell you the number of times the animals have been like, yeah, we've got this. You don't have to keep telling us. Like,
Well, tell us the
So-
Pookie story, because you had such a good
But
story
let
early
me ask
on.
a quick question before that. So you spoke to that dog in a loud voice like this, or did you think it?
no, I spoke like I'm speaking to you.
Oh, okay.
I was on my way to our donkey barn to feed the pigs and the donks, and I saw this dog on the side of the road, on our road, and so she didn't feel right to me. So I pulled the car over and I went over to her and I gave her a safe distance, and she was in the grass, like peering at me, and I said, "So it looks like you need help. I'm feeling like you need help. Do you need help?" And she was like, "Arr," and she was pretty ferocious. And I said, "Well, you know what? I've got to go feed the barn. I've got to feed the donks. You think about it. I'll be glad to help you. I'll be back here in 10 minutes, and then we'll talk." So I do that. I come back. She's still there. And I go over. I said, "So have you had, time to think about it? I've got to go." And so that's when she belly crawled her way to me. So totally understands. She's a Catalua leopard mix, which is a cattle dog. She's beautiful. She had 9 puppies. 9 puppies. I was
Wow.
like,
So then you just picked her up and brought her home.
I picked her up. She crawled to me, and then she allowed me to put her in the vehicle. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you sent me what? You sent me she looks pregnant." Like, oh my gosh. So yeah. But in the end, all the puppies, we named them after the Charlie Brown gang. And Violet, for instance, they came out looking like these beautiful Australian shepherds. And so Violet is actually in Canada with her person, and Peppermint Patty is here with Ivy, the mom. I named Ivy because I got poison ivy with her. So that's why. But yeah, they do. They understand. But it's just like talking like we are now. They totally get it.
Oh, it's a
Wow.
great question. Debbie says, do you feel, Tami, that the names we give our animals affect their behavior?
I would say yes. I would even say like putting a collar. When I put a camo collar on, it was a pink, cute camo collar on Molly. She would get in so much trouble. Like, I had to take the collar off just because it was causing so much trouble. But yeah, and the animals will often send their names to you. I
I
typically
agree.
don't name my animals. A name comes to me. And yes, it does affect their behavior. I was talking to somebody this week, and they said, the animal was like, "I really like my name." It was like he was puffed up. He liked that name. I think it was like Beauregard, and it was an animal that had passed, but he was like this Southern gentleman kind of a dog, and he really liked that name. He lived up to that name.
It's so funny you say that because I know someone who named their dog Devereaux, and he is just a Devereaux. I mean,
Yeah,
just
totally.
so
Oh,
funny
God.
because I always thought that. I always
Yep.
thought, oh my God, that name fits him so perfect because he would just, strut
Yeah.
around.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was just, yeah, so
You know,
funny.
I have an Otis,
Yes.
and he is such a damn Otis. Today at school, when I dropped him off at school today, and the teacher there, his dog teacher, said to me, "Oh, Otis is outstanding in class. We love Otis. He helps all the other dogs. He's so this and that." And I said, "Who are you talking to? You're talking about my Otis?
Uh,
My Otis, who doesn't listen to a damn thing I say?"
right.
So, Tami, I don't understand. I was dying to ask you, how does that work? Like, how come he is so not good to me or with me, and he's so
Yeah.
great at school?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't get it.
I have a border collie like that named Jack, and he's like, he loves going to the vet and having a spa treatment, and he's like, love and laughter and light. Let me try to brush Jack, And he's like, you want a piece of me? So he acts quite differently, and they do. It's like, when you send your kid off to school and they do so well, it's the same thing. It's a kind of a dynamic outside the home. So the dynamic in the home is different than it is, in public.
Well,
Mm.
mine is really different. Mindy said something. She says she
Yeah.
was severely injured on June 3rd. Sorry, Mindy. How
Sorry,
awful.
Mindy.
Oh,
6 facial fractures and stitches.
Oh
Oh my
my
God.
goodness.
My 8-month-old pup stayed on the bed with me all day. He
oh,
never comes to
yeah.
bed with me and wouldn't let the other 2 dogs anywhere near me. He paced the edge of the bed and growled at them.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. He definitely felt very obviously very
Yeah.
protective, but very connected to you. What breed does I don't believe she said that. That's interesting. I feel with that pup, there's a soul. There's an old that pup's like an old soul friend. That pup's there's a connection there between you two, definitely.
And it's interesting because Kathy's
Yeah.
asking, can your animal have an old soul? Which I would.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
some are extremely high consciousness. Some, like everybody else here, are, we're all learning lessons at different levels, and we come in to learn different things, and the animals are no different. And some are masters. They're master teachers.
Mm.
Yeah. That's very true. Susie says, when we have to put our pets down, oh God, Susie, I know that one. Do they understand?
Animals actually have a deeper and easier understanding of death than we do. They actually teach us about the dying process, and they don't see it the way we do, and so they totally understand. And I get that question a lot. I had to put my dog down. I just have always felt bad. It can be years later, and the people feel bad about it, and the animals always tell me, "No, thank you for stepping in. Thank you, because our bodies weren't working and we were suffering, and we understood." They don't want to be a burden either. So they leave their bodies a lot of times way before, they transition. And this story about Pookie is just that, where they transition before they go back and forth between worlds in preparation for the passing. So they understand, and they don't see it in the same ending way that we do.
Well, tell them about the Pookie story because it's a good one.
Yeah, well, Pookie was a little Westie. She was a petite little girl, and she was very cute and very childlike. She always retained the childlike innocence. And I would look out, and she loved the fall of the year because she would watch the leaves, and I'd look out, and she would just be staring, and they'd be, twirling down, and she'd be like moving with them. And she was just a happy little girl all her life. And so as she aged, she didn't really lose that innocence about her, but she got really ill, and she got quieter and quieter. And I remember I was sitting with her one day. That's one thing I always have done with my animals, is just sit with them, just be with them. And that's something we can talk about too. What does it mean to be with your animal? And I said, Pookie, do you need a vet assistance? Do you want me to do something? I'm here to support you. This is your body, your decision. You let me know. And she was sleeping a whole lot, and she didn't really say anything to me. I didn't get any downloads. And so we just sat in silence the rest of the time. And that night I had a dream, and Pookie and I were on this grassy strip of land, and on each side was building. And so Pookie walked off from me. She turned around, looked at me, and she showed me how she was going from one building to the next, one building to the next. She was crossing over from one to the other, and I couldn't move in the dream. I just had to watch it. I was not allowed in that space. I could feel I wasn't allowed in that space. And so she looked at me, and she communicated to me that I've got this. I've got it. It's good. It's okay. And so I woke up thinking, oh my goodness, she just told me what she wanted to do. I was just like, whoa. And then about 2 days later, she passed very quietly and peacefully in her sleep. So I think, what that taught me is they have opinions about how they want to go, and they appreciate being asked. I've always told mine, please give me a clear look, and make it so that I don't mistake it. and invariably it's never failed. They always do. And so, sometimes I do have to step in and the vet has to step in, but I always feel like it's with the animals approval. They agree this is okay. So animals don't begrudge that happening, and they totally understand. I had Frisky, who was 14 years and years ago, and I remember just agonizing on doing that, and he turned around and looked at me and he nodded his head right before he passed.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they do have a graciousness about that. But animals first of all, will come to you in dreams. That's a really good way for them to communicate, not just about passing, but about situations that they're in. Or in my case, if an animal happens to be coming, which I haven't had that, thank goodness, for a while, but where they come in a dream and then a week later show up and you're like, yeah. So but they will often come in dreams just to explain how they're feeling about something. So that's a good way people can ask their animal. I would I would love to have a dream about you. Come to me in a dream. Tell me what you're feeling. I'd love to know more.
I had a wild experience after my mom died. I didn't see my mom for some period of time. I didn't see her for a very long time, but for some reason, she came to me one time, and at this one time, it was maybe 6 or 8 weeks after she had passed. My mom, who was not an animal person, right, Shirley? There's no way. My mom was not an animal person, and for whatever reason, she showed up, and she's holding this little black dog, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like my mom, but it's my dream, and I know that it's a visitation.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this dog jumps up and leaps into my arms, and it was my childhood dog.
Oh, wow.
Now I was flabbergasted. And do you know that day I was so stunned, and that day I started looking at pictures, and this one picture of that dog, the only one that was on record, fell out of a bunch of pictures. He really wanted, and he had been gone for 40 years. He was gone 40 years.
Wow. Wow. What a gift.
Right,
What
that they can come back like that even after 40 years.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Yes. And, I was talking to somebody the other day about this particular animal that had passed was hanging around and is like, wants to be asked to help, like, give me a job, like help. If you need something, ask me. I'm here to help. So they will do that, and they'll actually also influence the other animals. They'll come, if it's a multi-animal family, they can help the other animals in the home. So, they're not, they want to continue the relationship. And people often don't realize that, oh, it's a dog, I can't communicate, or it's a cat, I can't communicate. Well, why can't you? You can. Like, there's no reason you can't. And it's all through the heart. The heart opens the space. Like, if you focus on your animal with your mind, and then you go to your heart and you feel that kind of warm sensation, and then you feel this love open up, that actually is the doorway that invites the animal in. So whether they're here in person or whether they're in spirit, it's the same method either way, just that kind of heart opening. And that actually in the mediumship piece is the same, same thing with the opening of the heart and inviting anybody in, because you create a safe space for the animal to come in.
Right. Wow. So we have some calls waiting. John?
Yes, we do, ladies. Are you ready for some calls?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, great. So let's just make sure everything's working. We're going to Gardenia, it looks like. Is this Kat? Are you there?
Hi, yes, this is Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Hey, Kat.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kat. Tell Tami your dream.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. What?
Tell Tami your dream. I understand you had a dream.
Oh, yes. And it's so weird that this came to me between the dream session and this session. So 30 years ago, long story short, this bird picked me as its owner. It's a cockatoo. They have the intelligence of 3-year-olds. They bond. And I was very young, and I took him home. And several years later, my life changed. I had to do a lot of business travel, and I made a very quick decision to just give him away. And it's been like a scar for me this whole time that I gave him away. I can't talk about it without tearing up.
Oh.
And just last night, I had a dream that, you know, birds in captivity live less than, you know, out in the wild. Cockatoos get to be, you know, 50 years old in the wild, but in captivity, they're about 25, 30 years old. So he would be about 30 years old now. And you clip their wings so they can't fly away, unfortunately. So I had a dream that I was in this house, that in my dream, it was my house, but it's not the house that I live in. And he ran to me, came through the door, came all the way to me, sat on my shoulder, and started rubbing his face all over me. Just the way he did in the past. And I was like kissing him all over the place. Like, I was just like, oh my God, I missed you so much. And we just did our thing. Like, it was like a visit. And then he said, no, I have to go. And I'm like, don't go. You can stay with me now. He's like, no, Noah is going to miss me. And he's going to worry about me if I don't go back. And he left. And I don't know what that means. I don't know who Noah is.
Well, isn't Noah's Ark?
Noah? I have no idea what this means.
It's biblical.
And it stayed with me all day. I had to email you.
Yeah, she sent me an email. I'm like, you got to tell Tami this one.
So shook by this.
That's a really, really vivid visitation.
Yeah.
It's very, it's nothing small. I don't know what's going on in your life at this particular time. I would take a look at that because the animals come at specific times, and it's not just random. And it could be too that you were very open in thinking about this. So there's probably a combination of things that happen to enable this true visitation with this animal. I would write it down. I would, you know, you're so detailed about it. I would write all the detail down, even the Noah part, so that, you know, information can come to you later. But this is a bird of very, very high consciousness, and is around. There's no doubt that this animal is deeply on a soul level connected to you, and he was wanting you to know that he's still with you. He's still here.
And also to let go of anything, any sadness or that you felt guilty of. He doesn't want you to feel guilty.
No. He's asking. He wants you to release that.
Yeah.
Release that. There's no need, because he's like, hey, I'm here. Don't you see? You know, and so I love.
Died? I mean, was he like saying goodbye because he's dying? Because that would be the age for him to go.
I don't know, possibly or not. I think it was more about you and the relationship with you.
Yeah, I do too. I think that there is a transition piece, but I think it may be more about you moving into this next space of letting that go and realizing that he's with you and you can call on him anytime. So it could be all these, you know, all the planets are opening us all up to all kinds of different, like you said, the veil is very thin.
Yep.
So it allows for an easier, you know, delivery into our lives versus in other times in our lives. He feels like he's your brother to me. When you had him, did he feel like brother energy to you?
He was so connected to the entire family. Cockatoos are flock birds. Like in the wild, they're with like hundreds of other birds. It's really sad that, you know, that I'm never going to get a bird again because, you know, we put them in a cage and that's where they have to sit for the rest of their lives. So he felt like a member of the family.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it was brother or sister or child, but definitely a member of the family.
A complete member of the family. I mean, in a true sense, like in every sense, this bird was. And he feels like he's. I would write to him. I would actually write to him and see if you can start a conversation back and forth where he can communicate, because it's almost like you could probably take this a step further and keep the conversation going. Ask him who Noah is. Get in his space and write him.
Good idea.
Okay, wow. And how would I know if he's responding?
Well, when you write, it's kind of like journaling. You just start writing, And a lot of times what happens is you'll write for a while and you're like, oh, nothing's here. And then all of a sudden you kind of forget yourself and you start, they can come in on that space. Once you get connected to your writing and just write to him and ask questions and just be, you don't even expect to get an answer right that second. Just be available for things to drop in, even if you write a letter and then you walk off, because chances are you're going to have drop-ins come when you're least expecting it, even if they don't come then the moment you're writing.
And also, Kat, it's not a left brain exercise.
Right.
It's a right brain exercise.
Yep.
I recognize that question, by the way. I said, hey, I didn't ask it.
I know. I was looking at you, Shirley. I had to laugh. Anyway, thanks, Kat, for your call. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate it.
So much. Thank you both so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have a question that came in while Kat was on the line with us. And Amy's asking, do animals reincarnate as a new pet in your life?
Oh, good question.
Oh, they absolutely can. Yeah, totally. I mean, there's no limitation on that, and they can come in different forms. They could come in as a bird or a cat if they've been a dog. I mean, that it's the energy, the essence of the animal is what you'll recognize and think, gosh, that feels like whoever it is. Yeah, definitely.
And I like this one. Ava's saying, Noah knows Tami is on TV. He's just sitting and listening to Tami's voice facing the screen.
Well, I talked to Noah the other day, and he came in and stared at her.
You have that. You definitely have that effect. I have to say, because I've sent you pictures of my cat and all of that, just because we'll be talking and then he'll come in the room just while I'm talking to you and just want attention while you're there. So it's so funny.
Well, they like being included in the conversation. They're like, this is a three-way call.
Exactly. It's like maybe you can get a message in through them because I'm not working.
That's right.
I love it. All right, here we go. I have a silly. Let's see. We've got area code 815 on the line. Is this Liz? No, this is Illinois. It looks like. Can we have your name, please?
Yep, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. It is Elizabeth. Yes. How are you?
Good.
Good. So, yes, Elizabeth is an aspiring animal communicator. She's very active in our group. She's had a conversation with Tami when Tami comes in and does the powwows. So Elizabeth. So let's
yes.
into it.
It's good to see you. Good to hear you. Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I like that you touched base, Tami, on about talking and keeping our animals in the loop. And I feel like I try to do very well with that. However, I have a young horse, a filly, that is at a friend of mine's house for training. And Friday we went to a show, her and my older horse. We hauled with my friend. And that night she went home with my friend. And the next morning she was just very anxious, pacing the stalls and
I'm having a real difficult time hearing. Are you guys?
And
no, I can hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just she kept coming in and out for me somehow to piece it together.
Oh, can you repeat that for us, Elizabeth? Sorry, hon. Tami was having audio issues.
I'm sorry.
No, you can.
I have a young horse that is at my friend's house, and she's there for training, and she's met my friend before, and my friends rode her. And we went to a show on Friday with my older horse and my younger one. Well, on the way home, I sent my younger one home with my friend. And the next morning, she was just very anxious, not wanting to eat her grain and pacing. And my friend called me the next morning and was like, I'm not sure what's going on, but can you give me some tips? Is it maybe she's by herself? And I'm like, well, she is a social butterfly, but typically she should, kind of calm down. And I'm like, well, did I not inform her that she was going to Jacqueline's house? And so I showed up on Sunday to kind of just check in on her, but I'm kind of like, am I on the right track with maybe I didn't put her in the right loop, or I didn't fill her in and she's like in shock of what's going on? Or
well, I think I think anytime, just like with a child, you keep them in the loop. They want to know what's going on, and she feels really connected to you. So she was, I think, wondering why she kind of got left behind. So if you can explain that that's not what's happening, that this is why we're doing this, then, and you'll be back to get her at, and, you know, you tell her, you give her structure so that she's not kind of left wondering, oh, did I do something to be separated out from everybody else?
Oh, no. She's just going, I came in Sunday. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're in school and you're going to learn cool things.
Right.
You'll get to go
Right.
home when you know, so. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
No, I mean, I think it's like anything else. It's communication, and sometimes we forget to give them the memo. You know?
Oh, thanks for calling. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care, Elizabeth. Thank you. All right, we're going from Elizabeth to Liz. So Liz is in, let's see, Liz in California, I believe, in Sacramento. Hi, Liz.
Cool.
That's correct. Hi.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Kelly, Shirley. This question is actually for all three of you. So,
Okay.
Tami, thank you once again. I spoke with you about a week ago, and thank you for all the information. And
Absolutely.
it's our dog, Theo, my daughter's dog, Theo, and a foster child. So the dog, we took him yesterday. He has material once again in his intestines. Unfortunately, we believe that it's the foster child because we brought in another foster child 2 weeks ago. So we believe it may be it's just her way of acting out and trying to get the most recent foster child out of the home. So now my question to you is Theo going to be okay? And what can we do to make his life better?
I'm a little confused. Is the dog eating the foster children?
No, the foster
No.
child
So,
is.
previously, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No,
You
that's
know
fine,
the-
Liz. Go ahead. Fill them in.
No, you know it though. The foster child previously has given them like socks or knowing that Theo will eat it.
Oh.
And Theo, my daughter, is so attached to her animals. So this is a way like getting back at my daughter, getting her attention, but it's through the dog. So the poor dog is suffering. And now it's, do we remove the child from the home? Because this is too much we want to give the child another opportunity, but it's too much for the animal as well.
Oh, wow. Who wants to take this one? Shirley, step in on this one. How old is the foster child?
13.
Yeah, that's a tough age. I mean, they're going to test because
with a lot of trauma.
Yeah. It's a tough age, and they're going to test because they assume that you're going to reject them, and so they'll continue to test and test and test and test. Is there any possibility to put them in therapy at all? Any kind of,
She's in therapy. We're trying to increase the therapy 3 times a week.
I would make sure that it's a somatic therapist, or at least add that. If I know the foster care system is very difficult and the financial pieces involved, but if there is someone who can help them who's trained in somatic therapy, meaning working with the body, because talk therapy is not going to help too much with that level of trauma.
And you can go to our site, and we have, is it trauma? What is it?
Yeah,
The
I put the link in. Yeah, it's in the comments for you, Liz. It's traumahealing.org, but there's a find a practitioner in your area there. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll help. Yeah.
Okay.
But Tami, go ahead with what the dog might be feeling, because that's out of my.
Out of your scope, Cheryl.
On a human.
What's the name of the dog again?
Be okay.
What's the name of the dog?
Theo.
Okay.
Theo. He's
it feels like he's in your family and in this situation right now to kind of he's illuminating. I know that the foster child did something or gave him something probably, but the whole dynamic is not coincidental. So it's almost like he's put himself in this place to help you guys see and highlight a situation where it could escalate even more, because I feel like it's not like he's sacrificing himself, but there's a part of him that on this soul contract piece it's almost like pay attention what's going on and learning boundaries and things like that, like what's allowed and what's not allowed with animals, and letting the child even get a hold of him. And I don't know that you can keep the child away from the animal, but that's definitely something, they shouldn't be allowed if they're going to do things like that, obviously. Do you have the dog at the vet now? What's the current status?
The dog is going back to the vet tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
and I'm probably just going to bring him to my house until we resolve something. I know the cats aren't going to be too happy with it, but I think it's
Get him in a safe space. Did you have the blockage removed? I mean, what's the status there?
They put additional liquid on his spine, and tomorrow we're going in to where he's going to stay all day, just hydrating him so he can pass whatever cloth is in his intestines, because he's had a surgery about 3 months ago, I'd say, and then about 5 weeks ago, again, he was the same issue, and now here we go. So every time something escalates, she takes it out on the dog.
Yeah, you've got to put him in a safe environment, just like you would a child. You would remove a child from danger like that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Is he going to be okay?
I feel like he will. I feel like, especially if he gets removed from the environment he's in and gets put with you, I think there's some healing that will go on. You're a good influence. You're a good energy for him. And talk to the cats. Like, have a group meeting. Like, tell them this is what's going on.
Okay.
You may not like it, but this is what we have to do. We're going to pull together as a team. And they may still act out, but still, you will have informed them, and they will understand. And ask them, to be on their best behavior and to welcome him in. And that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like he will recover.
All three of you. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. So
Thank
grateful.
you, Liz. Take care. All right. We're going on to a first-time caller, I believe, in New Hampshire. Are you still there? Let's see. Area code 603.
I am here. My name's Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi.
Hi. So I found out last year my dog has epilepsy, and I really tried to do everything I can to help him, and I just want to make sure that he's happy and comfortable.
Is he having a lot of episodes? What do you do to support that?
In the last 3 months, he's been lucky enough to be seizure free, but he is on quite a big deal of medication that could be harmful to his liver.
I don't feel any distress with him, actually. I feel, it may confuse him a little bit, like he doesn't quite understand what his body's doing, that kind of thing. But I feel he feels safe with you for sure. And I think he trusts that you're doing what needs to be done. So he's not really worried that he has to figure it out himself, which is I have to commend you on that, because a lot of animals start, when we worry, they worry. And then they think it's really bad what they have, and they don't understand it. So, you've given him structure. You've given him a way to just relax in whatever form his body gets in. But I do feel a tremendous amount of trust, and he just doesn't feel in distress to me, even though it may look that way at certain times to you. Emotionally, he's not.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. It's been just me and him for a very long time, and I just want to make sure that he's happy and he feels safe.
Oh, 100% with you. And, it wouldn't matter to him really what was going on with his body. It's because he's with you, and he knows that you've got his back, and he's got yours. So, again, it's that unconditional love where he sees your true essence and you see his. And so with that, what more could we want? We want to be seen and we want to be heard. And you've done that with him.
Thank you so much. Now does he like water or not? Because sometimes I feel like when I'm giving him a bath, he doesn't like it.
What does he do?
He like barks and tries to eat the hose.
It almost feels like it's a game to him, and it almost feels like he has to kind of be in the mood. Like sometimes it'll be all right, but he doesn't really like it other times. So animals can be moody too, and you can ask him. I used to have to ask Katie all the time permission. It didn't happen unless Katie agreed that it would happen, and I didn't try to force it because she just had a real strong ability to communicate that, and I think he does too. So I think it's just a matter of not like begging him, is it okay, but do ask him, can we do this now, or do you want to wait till later? Like you give him a choice.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for answering the call. I call you guys all the time. This is the first time I've been answered.
Good.
I'm so glad you got on. Yay.
Yeah, I'm glad we could get to you. Thank you
Yeah.
for your patience.
Great.
No, of course. Thank you guys.
All right, you take care. All right, so that brings us to the end because we've already gone through a whole hour. I'm telling
My
you,
goodness.
fly so quickly. So I just want to get in some announcements. I want to thank everybody who was able to attend our archetypes webinar. So, ladies, let's talk about that really quick. And
wasn't that fun, Shirley?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was really.
A
I hope
lot of
everybody
fun.
learned a lot too.
We went over. I think it taught us that we need to make ours at least 2 hours because
Yes.
we went actually to the 2-hour mark and quickly so, but we had so much information to give.
Yeah, and the next one we have is Bad Mothers.
Bad Mothers.
Well, we did schedule 2 hours because we know that one's going to take.
You know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming up on August 22nd, and that is at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So get your tickets at bothsidesnowtv.com. And so, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
Last Thursday. I'm trying to think.
I know, it's so much. And then we have another event coming up.
Yeah, we do with you and James.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the Star Seed. Are you a Star Seed? And that's happening on Tuesday, August the 11th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that is going to be a really cool info session. It's going to also be 2 hours because there's no way we can cram all of that into an hour and a half. So tickets are available at vanprog.com for that event.
It's going to be
That's going to be a great one. Yeah.
And then Tami has 3 coming up.
Tami, let's talk about that. So we've got Tami's animal communication class coming up with James. That's going to be, actually, I believe it's starting in August as well. So we got a whole month of events going on in August. And so that's going to be a 3-call series. And Tami is going to be mentoring some students and on that call. So we're looking forward to that.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the information will soon be posted at vanprog.com as well for that one. Right now, it's not posted, but just give you a heads up that it will be. And everything is still being finalized. So, yes. But Tami, thank you so much for being here. And
thanks,
Tami.
Tami. Oh my gosh.
Here. I don't know if you have
enjoyed it.
time to come into our after the show discussion on Zoom, but if you do, we'd love to have you.
Okay.
We always offer after the show discussion to our group members. And if you're not in our group, please go ahead and join our group. You can go to the Both Sides Now TV page on Facebook and click the visit group button. And when you do that, you can send in a request and we'll get you in the group. And Tami also has a group on Facebook, Soul Speak for Animals. We've had up the banner all night long.
Yep.
So it's Soul Speak for Animals with Tami Hendrix. You can go to Tami Hendrix page on Facebook and look for Soul Speak for Animals. There's the same process. There's a button there that says visit group, and Tami will get you in her group.
I will.
And Tami, what else is going on with you? I know you're getting ready to do a lot of private sessions coming up too, right?
Yeah, I am. I mean, people are the animals are talking. They're wanting to.
They have a lot to say.
They do.
Yeah.
And actually, as I've been on the call listening, the animals have all been listening. I've felt this big group energy around all of us. So even if people didn't or weren't able to call in, the animals have totally been in on it. It's been really lovely. Definitely.
And we've talked about doing a pet circle with you for group members. So we're considering doing that soon. So please, I'll put a reminder up in the group about, the possibility with some dates and times, and when Tami's available, we'll work on that. And that'll be a lot of fun. So
wonderful.
You're able to do that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Wow, I got all the
Wow.
announcements in
You
right
did
under
it,
the
John.
wire.
Thank
Yes,
you,
you
John.
did. Thank you. And thank you so much, Tammy, for being on.
Oh,
It's always
thanks,
great.
Oh,
Tammy.
thank you. I appreciate it
Yeah,
greatly. It was a lot of
yeah.
fun. I enjoy everybody.
All
Thank
right,
you
and
so
then
much.
we'll be back on Thursday with Kel. And Kel, we're going to be
Mhm.
discussing impasse, unconscious or conscious. Do you have issues with let's call it codependency?
Yeah.
With
Well, you know, a lot of
interdependence?
empaths have
Mhm.
problems with
Yeah,
codependency.
yeah,
So that's
Yeah.
what we're going to be
Yeah.
discussing, and we'll take your questions and answers too. Be a great
yeah.
day.
Great. So everybody, take care. Be kind to one another,
Wonderful.
and we'll see
Bye,
you later.
everyone.
Okay.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye.